Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison Smozinski. I'm the school social worker for Penns Valley Junior Senior High. And this is our first kind of webinar that we're presenting. And the topic for today is nutrition. So we also have our elementary and intermediate unit, intermediate school social worker here.
My name is Dara Felker.
And then for our topic today, nutrition, we have Leonie Giorgio here from Penn State's Nutrition Links, and she will provide us with some information about their program as well as some basic nutrition information. Leonie, do you want to take it over from here?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Allison and Dara, for having me here. So I am from Penn State Extension, and we'll go through some initial slides and then we'll get started. So Nutrition Links is available to all who meet the program requirements, and I am going to talk about what those requirements are in a couple of slides. We can make this information accessible to all by offering accommodations as needed. If I mention any name brands or grocery stores during this presentation, it is only as an example and not as an endorsement. If you have questions, you are welcome to submit them via the chat, or you can do that anonymously if you feel more comfortable. And feel free to unmute to share with the group. This is going to be an interactive presentation, so if you have either questions or responses to my questions, you can just unmute. This is a little bit of what we do in class, is getting to know you. You can put your name in the chat, how many children you have. But what we really like to know is a fruit or vegetable that you've always been curious about but have never tried.
We'll
Are
go
there any
first.
fruits and vegetables? Yeah, do you want to share? Like,
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to. Can you remind me what all I should share? Go back a slide.
Well, yeah, let's see here. So your name.
Okay, so my name's Allison. I have one child. She's a toddler. So she's in that picky food stage. And a fruit or vegetable that I've always been curious about but have not tried would probably be dragon fruit.
Okay, I hear that a lot. I think that's the number one. And the number two is star fruit. And then there are some that I've never heard of that people actually mention. I'm like, oh, I've not heard that. What about you, Dara? Do you have any?
Yep, so my name is Dara. I actually have 5 children. Wow. I have 3 adults, and I'm starting over with a 2- and 3-year-old, so I have a wide range here. And fruit or vegetable that I've been curious about is probably eggplant. I've seen it used a million times. I don't know if I've ever tasted it or tried it.
Okay, that's an interesting one. That one, a lot of people have, if people have texture issues, that might be one that falls into that category. But I love eggplant. It's really like umami and meaty. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, so here is my contact information. My full name is Leonie Giorgio. I go by Leo. And I have been the nutrition education advisor here in Center County. It'll be 11 years in March, which seems like forever. And I've been living in the Center County area for, it'll be 31 years this summer. So that, again, is a very long time. Okay. So Nutrition Links, like I said, it is a federally funded program, and it's delivered to the community in almost every county in Pennsylvania through Penn State Extension, and it's actually been around since 1969. So we've been teaching people how to shop on a budget and eat healthy on a budget for over 50 years, I guess. All right. So today what I'm going to do, the presentation is going to be a little bit about the program, and I'm going to weave in between throughout that parts of the lessons, parts of the series. And I would like to thank Allison for having me here. So thank you. And we'll get started. So the Nutrition Links program, who are the classes for? So these classes are for people that are raising families, that are raising children. It can be a foster child, a biological child, a child that you're working towards reunification or you're trying to adopt. It could be grandparents raising their grandchildren. We do have a lot of that right now. It could be a family member that's raising a niece or a nephew or a sibling. So, and what's new to our program in the last couple of years is we are now able to program to young adults 18 to 25. They are not required to have children, but they do need to meet the income guidelines. So the way I teach the Nutrition Links program, I do offer a series of 6 classes, and they're usually between around 90 minutes each, and they're usually in person, although I do make accommodations for Zoom as well. So there are 9 core lessons that we work from, and each lesson has a teaching element. So there's a topic, there's a lot of discussion, we support one another in our goals, and we also usually make recipes. And the recipes vary, but they're usually simple, inexpensive, with just few ingredients. Okay, so once you complete the program, once you attend all the 6 sessions, you receive a certificate of achievement. It has your name on, and a lot of people actually use this certificate on their resume for on their resume for a job. Sorry. And then aside from, or in addition to the certificate, at the end of the program, you will get a bag. It's a really nice insulated grocery bag, and then some other tools like the measuring cups, a meal planner, thermometers, and items that will help. They're skill building items that help with continuing with eating healthy and making recipes and some of the things that we learned in class. Now I had mentioned paperwork, there's entry and exit paperwork. They're only done the first and the last lessons. One of the sheets is a diet recall, and based on this diet recall, you will get your own individualized 1-day food recall report. And it's a great tool to show us like where we are. Sometimes we think we're doing well, or we don't think we're doing very well, but we can kind of see it's based off just 1 day, but we can see, what that day looked like for us. And it can give us some guidelines as to what adjustments we can make. You can see here, like the vegetables were below, the dairy was above, the level that this person should have been intaking. So do you guys have any questions or comments at this point?
I don't know if I have a question. I love this 1-day food recall report, though. I think that's so helpful because it can be so hard. I know for me to kind of visualize what I'm supposed to be eating, but know if I actually fall into that. So I love that you really like have a picture, the bar graph that shows exactly like if you eat too much of that certain category or too little. I think that's such good feedback that you can like very plainly understand. Yeah.
And it helps us to be mindful, like if we have to write things, and a lot of people do have apps. I know, like in this day and age, they use apps for some of this stuff, but these reports are really, they can be very expensive to have made for us, and we provide them for free. So this is a nice way to gauge where we are.
Huh.
All right. Okay, so the general theme that is weaved through the Nutrition Links program is eating healthy on a budget. But some of the topics that we talk about are making smart drink choices, the My Plate, which I think that's what kids are learning in school now. We talk about portion sizes, food safety, and other topics. Now, this is the lesson part. So making smart drink choices. This is the lesson that I start off with the very first time I meet with a class and participants. We talk about making smart drink choices because it's not the easiest change to make, but it's the simplest change to make, but it has a huge impact on our health. So I start with making smart drink choices, and we talk a lot about sugar. All right, so when you hear the term soft drinks, what comes to mind?
I think for me, it's soda.
Mhm.
Soda. So it could be, sorry, Alison, were you going to say something?
Sometimes I even think like those carbonated drinks, but that are not supposed to be soda. They kind of think that they're healthier, like carbonated water or something like that.
Right. And it's surprising, like if we look at the food label, and that's really my goal. One of my goals in these classes is to give people the tools and to empower them to know, like not to tell them what to do, but to be able to read the food label and say, oh, you know, this has too much sugar, or it meets my health goals, or it has a lot of sugar, but I want to have it anyway. It's just giving people, you know, allowing them to make an informed decision or choice. But yeah, it's soda, lemonade, sweet tea, sports drinks, energy drinks, fruit drinks. It's any beverage that has been sweetened with added sugar. So, there are actually over 450 drinks on the market. And I believe, I mean, this information is from 10 years ago. And we know it seems like every month the companies are coming out with a new drink, a new flavor. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot more than that, actually. All right, so we're gonna play a game now. I'm gonna have you guess how many teaspoons of sugar are gonna be in the next slide, in the next drink that I'm gonna show you. This is what a teaspoon looks like. So this is 1 teaspoon of sugar. So usually on the labels, everything is in grams, but I feel like if we have a visual, this means more to me than in grams. So this is what 1 teaspoon looks like. All right, I want you to guess how many teaspoons do you think are in this 20-ounce soda?
I'm gonna guess 8. I might be
Okay.
overdoing it, but
No, that's a good guess. You're not overdoing it. That's a clue.
I'm gonna go with 3.
Oh, okay. It's 16.
Oh my
So
God.
you can see like what that looks like, right? We wouldn't take, that's a lot, right? It's surprising. We wouldn't take 20 ounces. So what is that? 2.5 cups of water and put 16 or 17 teaspoons of sugar in that. I know that's the response I get. It's like, it's shocking to see it in that form. All right, 2 cans. So what's the difference if we have 2 cans of regular soda per day? So 2 cans of soda per day for a whole year, that's 109,500 calories, and that's an extra 31 pounds. So 47%, so half of our sugar comes from soft drinks, and it's easy to just drink our calories and drink our sugar. So I want to show you, I have a bunch of, I'll be referring to my props here, but this is 5 pounds of fat, and this is 5 pounds of protein, and you can see the difference in size. Now, so 31 extra pounds is 6 of these. So you can see how, you know, that can lead to a lot of extra calories that we don't need. And it's really not about body shaming. It's the fact that sugar acts on the body the way alcohol does. So it can cause fatty liver disease. And that fat, we may be thin on the outside, but we may have that fat around our middle. So that's one of the reasons that we want to avoid some of these soft drinks. There are many, many reasons, and we don't have time to go through those right now. And there are also a lot of sugar is throughout the ultra processed food system. So there are things that don't taste sweet, but actually are high in sugar. So can you think of what some of those things might be? Can you guess some of the foods that aren't sweet, but have a lot of sugar in them?
I think ketchup has a lot of sugar in it. I
Yes,
like
yeah.
that.
So a lot of condiments do. Salad dressings. Have you thought about salad dressings? They can be high in sugar. Canned soups,
Oh.
breads, and cereals, and other foods. So food doesn't necessarily have to taste sweet for it to be high in sugar, which is why it's important to look at the label and see what we're putting into our bodies. And also, sugar is addictive. I know we've had a lot of times like people say, I just can't give it up. I just can't. So, and I struggle with it myself, actually. I love chocolate. So that's my weak point. Okay. All right, let's move on. So I have a video that I'm going to play, and this is how to make, those small changes and how they do add up. So here we go.
Get healthier by sipping smarter. Small changes to your beverages can add up to big wins. No need to give up your favorite mocha. Switch to skim and ask for half the syrup. Do this one time and save 9 grams of saturated fat. Do this 3 times a week for a year and save over 1,400 grams. If you're craving something fizzy, do you normally go for this? Make a switch that's free of added sugars. Do this one time and save over 50 grams of added sugars. Do this every day for a year and save nearly 20,000 grams. Small changes can really add up. Share your wins using hashtag #MyPlateMyWins.
That's a lot of sugar, right? Over a period of a year that we may not think about. And also some of those, like you had mentioned a drink, Alison, there are some drinks that we think they're healthy, like the like fruit flavored drinks or waters, the fruit flavored waters. I had a young mum that was staying with me and she was drinking one of these really nice, the packaging looked lovely. It looked very healthy. There was fruit on the outside of it. It was a little can, but there were like 26 grams of sugar in just that one small can. So she thought she was doing something healthy and realized that it was a lot more sugar than she thought she was taking in. All right. So the next lesson that I teach, the second time we meet, it's a food safety lesson. And it's important to prepare our food safely so that we don't get sick. So how many of you have ever had a foodborne illness or food poisoning that you can recall? You have, Alison. And you too, you're both smiling, but I bet you weren't smiling at the time, right? It was not
No.
fun.
No.
Yeah. The symptoms are usually diarrhea, vomiting, it could be temperature, it could even lead to jaundice or paralysis. So, without freaking anyone out, we do need to be careful with our food safety. And in the program, in that lesson, we do learn about the 4 rules, which are clean, separate, cook, and chill. And actually, during this lesson is when I give out a cooking thermometer, a fridge thermometer to make sure that we're cooking foods to the right temperature, because just by looking at it is not always enough. We do really need to check the internal temperature. And we also want to make sure that our fridge is kept at the right temperature. If it's an older fridge, we might think it is, but with the thermometer in there, it actually gives us an exact and precise reading of our fridge temperature. All right, this is a question for you guys. Unmute and tell me what you think the answer is. Which foods lead to the most illnesses? Meat, frozen food, fresh produce, or canned foods?
I'm gonna go with C.
Yeah, me too. Fresh
Yeah, okay.
produce.
Excellent. Yes. So oftentimes people say meat, and that is oftentimes what is contaminated is the meat. However, because we cook the meat to the proper internal temperature, then any bacteria typically should be eliminated, and also the viruses are inactivated. However, with fresh produce, if it's contaminated, we don't cook it. If you're going to eat that apple or carrot or whatever it might be, It can make you very sick if it's contaminated and not cooked. So fresh produce is the correct answer. I wish I had prizes for you, but I'm sorry, I don't. All right, what is wrong with this picture? That's some raw chicken breast and an apple. And that little green guy, some people don't know, that's bacteria. So it's supposed to represent bacteria.
You should not ever have a raw meat on a cutting board with something else.
Right. So this would be the rule of separating. So this is where foods can be cross-contaminated. So this person is cutting the raw meat, and if that splatters onto the apple and we eat that apple, we can get sick. So it's important to have separate utensils, knives, cutting boards for our meats and for our produce, and making sure that we wash them with hot soapy water in between uses. Do you guys have any questions before I move on?
Is there a difference in which one is more sanitary, a wooden or a plastic cutting board?
So that's a really good question. The nice thing about plastic is that you can put them in the dishwasher and they do get sanitized. But so each one is going to have its positives and negatives. I would recommend the plastics because they're lightweight and you can sanitize them. However, once you see with overuse that they have those grooves, you know how they end up looking used and they have those knife grooves, that's where bacteria can kind of grow and it can stay in there even after it's been sanitized. So I would replace those often. The wooden, I have some beautiful wooden cutting boards, but I don't use them anymore. Definitely not for meat because you're not supposed to put them in the dishwasher, they'll warp. So I feel like they're harder to clean, although they do have enzymes usually within the wood that takes care of some of that, but I wouldn't take a chance with raw meat and stuff like that. And sometimes it's a preference too. Some people don't like I don't like cutting on glass or marble. So I have like different colored plastic ones. Thank you.
So Leona, would you recommend then to washing your knife in between like cutting your produce?
Between one produce to the other.
Yeah.
You know, I never thought about that, but that's probably not a bad idea. You can do that, but typically we should be rinsing our fruits and vegetables anyway. Yes, I think that's a very good idea and a good point to wash them in between. But going back to rinsing our fruits and vegetables, even if it's a lemon or a lime or an avocado where we're not going to eat the skin, they still need to be rinsed under cold running water because if that, you know, when we go to the store and we're touching, I know with me, like I'll touch every avocado before I pick one. Well, imagine how many people went before me and did the same thing. And also in storage, you know, we don't know how this and how long they were stored for. So we want to rinse, even if we're not going to eat the skin of the fruits and vegetables, they need to be rinsed so that if they are contaminated, we're not cutting through the skin and into the flesh. So they always need to be rinsed. And I think it's a good idea actually to, I've never had anyone ask me that, but it's a really good question. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking like, what do? And I do rinse it in between. Like if I cut a carrot, then I rinse my knife before I cut something else, just because of the colorization more than anything.
So
All
that
right.
made me think of another question if we have time.
Mhm.
Is there a special way to wash produce? Like, do you just use water? I've seen people use water with vinegar and baking soda. Is there a right way or a wrong way to wash produce?
Well, each produce is going to be a little, it's going to be a little bit different. So most of them, you want to rinse them right before you're going to use them, because once they're rinsed, it removes a preservative or a wax coating that's on there that makes the fruits last longer. Personally, I just rinse them under cold running water, but you can use a little bit of vinegar. You can soak them in baking soda, you know, if people have the time to do that. There are some grocery stores that sell specific kind of sprays and things that you can use. So I think it's a matter of preference. If you feel like, the grapes are looking really kind of waxy, then maybe they can be soaked with a little bit of vinegar and cold water. So I don't know if that answers your question. People have different preferences. And we do have videos actually at the end of the food safety lesson. There is a video that I send out that actually goes into more detail about this and how to rinse. Like, lettuce is going to be a little bit different to your limes and lemons because, they have a different texture and they're a little bit more fragile. So, all right, good questions though. Thank you. All right, and what do you think is a common way or the most common way that foods become contaminated?
My thoughts are maybe in like transportation to the store. I don't know, people are not washing their hands when they're picking it, putting it on the truck. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or letting it sit out.
I'm not sure.
Well, we'll see what the answer is. It's improper hand washing, which you clued in on that because imagine, our hand 50% of foodborne illnesses come from improper hand washing. So if we can get the hand washing down, which I think we did during COVID, people were really washing their hands, but we tend to get sloppy again. So can anyone tell me how long are we supposed to wash our hands for?
Want to say 20 seconds? Two
Yes.
happy birthdays.
Yes,
There we go.
perfect. That was my next question. What song do you use with your children to help them wash their hands? So it can be the happy birthday, the alphabet song, Old MacDonald. Allison, do you have any songs that you sing?
I was gonna say happy birthday. I sing that to myself when I wash my hands.
Okay. So it's 20 seconds, and we want to make sure we get in between our fingers, our palms, the top of our hands, under our fingernails, and our wrists. So it's really important. If we can get the hand washing down, it will eliminate foodborne illnesses by 50%. That's a lot. All right. So we are going to watch this video so in each of our lessons we cook. Obviously, I'm not cooking live. We're going to watch this video. The tuna burgers was a recipe that it took me a while to try it because I wasn't sold on it. But once I tried it and I do tweak it, I add like a lot of garlic, fresh garlic, and carrots. But it's become a staple for me. It's very inexpensive, it's high in protein, and it's really versatile. So I'll play the video and then you can tell me what you think.
Tuna burgers are a quick, easy, and inexpensive dish to serve your family. If tuna isn't one of your family's favorites, you can make this recipe with canned chicken or salmon. Remember to wash your hands before handling any food and sanitize your work surfaces before beginning. Read the recipe and collect all the ingredients and cooking supplies that are needed and place them on the counter. For a healthier dish, be sure to purchase tuna packed in water rather than oil. Before opening the can, rinse it under water to remove any dirt and debris. Drain the tuna. If you don't have a colander, simply press the lid of the can down onto the tuna to drain the excess liquid out of the can. Place in a medium bowl and separate the tuna into flakes with a fork. We will need half a cup of breadcrumbs. To measure dry ingredients, use a solid measuring cup like this. Fill the cup with breadcrumbs, heaping the crumbs above the top of the measuring cup. Use the flat side of a knife or spatula to level the ingredients. If you do this over waxed paper, plastic wrap, or a paper towel, you can then put the excess back into the container to use later. Add the breadcrumbs to the tuna. Add 1 beaten egg. Remember to wash your hands again after handling raw eggs. Now add 1 teaspoon of fat-free Italian dressing and a dash of cayenne pepper. Next, add in 1/4 cup finely chopped onion, 1/4 cup chopped celery, and 1/4 cup chopped green pepper. Mix all these ingredients together, then form 6 patties. To get patties of similar size, divide your mixture in half and then divide each half into thirds. Form the mixture into a patty shape, pressing your thumb along the side to help keep the patty edges from falling apart. Using another half cup of breadcrumbs, coat each side of the patties. Spray a nonstick pan with cooking spray and heat to medium heat. Cook patties 3 to 5 minutes on each side until golden brown. Serve the tuna burgers on whole wheat buns. You can add lettuce and tomato if you'd like. Add a salad, a piece of fruit, and a glass of milk for a full meal.
So what do you think of that recipe? Is that something you might try or not?
I think I'd probably try it with the salmon that they suggested. I really like salmon. I think that might be a little bit more appealing to my family, but otherwise it looks really good and super easy.
But I was thinking it's probably not something I would have thought of, but yeah, I would definitely be willing to give it a try.
So I actually add like a whole grated carrot. I add almost as many vegetables as I have tuna. So it really bulks up. So it makes it even less expensive actually. And it also keeps it moist and it adds like a sweetness because of the carrot. So that's one of my tips. And then another thing, garlic goes in everything I cook. I have a Mediterranean background, so garlic goes in everything. But I actually use an ice cream scoop to scoop them and shape them, and that makes them all kind of the same size. So there are little tips, like that's a great video, but when we do them live, there are tips that we can all kind of pitch in and add some things that we do in the recipes. All right, so moving on to my plate and eating more fruits and vegetables. So this is another lesson that I focus on. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the My Pyramid. We used to have the My Pyramid that was taught back in the day. You're too young, Allison. So that My Plate was the My Pyramid was switched to My Plate, and you can see that the My Plate has 5 food groups. Each food group is represented by a different color, and it's really important to try and select a variety of foods from each of the food groups in the right portions, and just to try different foods to stay healthy in that way. And you can see that we want to make half our plate fruits and vegetables. So if you take nothing else from this presentation, but just having your plate be half fruits and vegetables or increasing your fruits and vegetables, then you're on the right track. Now, have any of you ever heard the term eating a rainbow of fruits and vegetables? What does that mean?
You want to add in as much color to your meal as possible.
Right. So, you know, not only when we look at our plate, we want it to be eye appealing. We love to see colors. It makes it more aesthetically pleasing and inviting. But also, did you know that each color of a fruit or vegetable and each like flavor, that is an antioxidant? And I'm not going to give you all the names because I don't know all the names of all the antioxidants, but all those different colors offer a different antioxidant. And antioxidants fight the free radicals that come from pollution, chemicals, things that we're inundated with every day that our body is constantly fighting off. The more antioxidants we take in, so I call those like the good soldiers, the good guys, the more antioxidants we have, the more they're going to fight the free radicals and build our immune system. So, when I first started, I started thinking, you know, nature works in mysterious ways. So this is where I get a bit nerdy. I realized, like I'm sure you guys have been told, right, that carrots are good for our eyes. And oops, you can't see. Can you see that? So these carrot, you can see how they look like an eye. So I started thinking, well, I wonder if that's true for other things. And so I did a little bit of research, and I found that there's a lot of foods that look like the body parts they're good for. So now we're going to play another game, and I'm going to show you a food item, and I want you to guess what body part you think they're good for. All right, so it's celery. And it's not hair. I get hair a lot from people, but it's not hair.
I was gonna say hair, that's funny.
I'm gonna say our cardiovascular system.
That's a good guess.
Okay.
I'm gonna say muscles.
Another good guess. It's our bones.
Ooh,
So,
yeah.
and the reason I use celery, this is a great way to get kids too to eat more greens. Dark greens are good for our bones and teeth, to build strong bones and good teeth. So any of the dark greens, I use celery because it is, I mean, that's what came up, and it is long like our bones. But for someone that doesn't, either is lactose intolerant or doesn't like to drink milk, then eating a lot of greens is one way to get our calcium. All right, this one we see a lot of walnuts. There's oils in walnuts that are good for
I'm gonna say our
Brain.
brain. Yeah.
your brain. And it even has like the shell, like our skull. All right, and the last one I'm going to do is a tomato.
So I want to
So-
say heart for this one.
Both of you?
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything that is red that you cut through, like a beet or a cherry tomato, and they're red all the way through, they're good for our blood, they're good for our heart. And that's not to say that they're only good for this one thing, but they do have elements and chemicals and compounds in there that are good for our heart. And the other kind of interesting fact is if you cut a tomato, it has 4 cylinders, just like a heart does. So I thought that's pretty cool. And I have a whole bunch of those. We're not going to go through all of them, but in the lesson, we go through several. All right, so we have 2 more, 2 lessons to get through. So shop for value, check the facts. Do you guys ever look at the food label? Do you use the food label?
I use it just by looking at like the 5 and 10 rule. So if I'm shopping for my kids, I'm making sure that it's no more than 5 grams of sugar, or no, 5 grams of fat, 10 grams of sugar.
Okay. That's a good rule. I haven't heard that one actually. That's good. That's interesting. Okay. So this is what the new label looks like. The one on our right is the new label, and then the current label is what you might still be seeing. Companies have been asked to change to the new label. And some points that I want to mention is, I love that you're looking at the sugar. That's really important to do that. We want to look at the whole label, because sometimes, and when you're in a hurry, I love that you do that. I've never heard of that before, and I really like that. I'm going to have to write that down, the 5 and 10 rule. But some people may look at one nutrient and say, okay, this is high in iron, so it's good, or it's high in sugar, so it's bad. But we really want to look at all the nutrients and see how that lines up with our health goals. If we have allergies, you know, we want to look at the food label for a number of different reasons, and even just comparing and choosing the best of the foods that we're comparing. One thing that I would say is with the sugar, you want the fiber to be higher than the sugar. In this example, the sugar is 3 times the fiber, so it's not going to be a very filling food, and it basically looks like sugar. Another thing that I want to point out is a lot of times foods are packaged as if they're a single serving, and we think we're eating just 1 serving, but we could actually be eating multiple servings. All of the information on the food label is for 1 serving. So if I was to eat 2 servings of this, I would be actually consuming 460 calories, not 230. And a lot of drinks, I mean, they package, they look like they're a single serving, but it could be 2.5 servings. So it's kind of, we do really need to be proactive and investigate. The other thing with the food label is the ingredient list. Some tips here. So if you had like a whole food, like a carrot or a tomato, you would know exactly what it is. But looking based on this, just the ingredient list, we really don't recognize what it is without the packaging. But some tips on the ingredient list is you don't want it to be bigger than your thumb. If sugar is in the first like 3 or 4 ingredients, it's probably high in sugar, and sugar comes with different names. It could be high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, corn syrup. There's over 300 names for sugar, so we really do have to be careful there. And also, if there are names that we can't pronounce, we don't know what they are, we probably may want to avoid that food because we don't really know what's going on with that. All right, and the last lesson that I'm going to talk about is portion distortion. Have either of you ever heard that term? Portion distortion. So the word distortion, what does that sound like?
So I think oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say portion distortion. It kind of reminds me of like, we think we're eating the right amount for us, but we're really probably eating too much.
Right. So the way one student explained it is that it's when things are out of whack, but we think they're okay. So the portions have grown in the last 20 years. They're at least double. And that's actually caused us to gain weight too. So here's a question. In the 1970s, dinner plates were approximately 9 inches in diameter. How big do you think the average dinner plate is now? 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, or 14 inches?
I'm gonna go with 12-inch.
I think it's 14.
We might be heading there, Allison. It is actually 12. It is 12 inches, and I actually pulled out my own plates, and let me show you. So this is a set I had from 1987. So I don't know, Allison, if you were even born then. But this is from 1987. And this is from the UK. And this is a plate from around 2007 from Pier 1. And you can see how much more surface area there is. They actually, for the first time, actually measured them, and they are 9 and 12 inches. So I thought that was interesting. And I know with me personally, the bigger my plate, I want to cover all the surface area. I don't want to see plate. I want to see food. And you can see based on this graphic that with each increase in plate, it has increased in calories. And you can see like from the 60s, it was 800 calories. And currently it's about 1900 calories. So that's a huge increase. Are there some ways that you think we could reduce our portions?
I know there's like different things with your hand, like there's certain sizes that you should be eating of your food, and that's one way that you can use it as a guide.
That's actually what we teach in the lesson, the full lesson, that our hand is the size of a cup. So it gives us an idea of how much we're actually eating. Dara, did you have a...
I was just gonna say that choosing, when you buy dishes, you have like the bigger salad plate or the 12-inch plate. We just use like the smaller plate.
That's excellent. That's actually one of the things I was going to say, using the dessert plate for dinner, and then maybe you can even go back for seconds, but and and also slowing down with our eating, chewing our food. There's a lot of tips, eating mindfully, that can help us reduce the amount of food that we eat. All right, we're going to play another game and then we're almost done. So 20 years ago, a bagel was 140 calories and it was only 3 inches. So what we call like a snack was actually a serving size. How many calories do you think are in today's bagel? 150, 250, or 350?
I'm gonna go with 350.
You are correct. It's 350. So that's an increase of 210 calories. And it's 6 inches, so we have more surface area now to add our fillings, our cream cheese. So 210 is like the lowest, it's probably more than that we're consuming. And we would have to rake leaves for 50 minutes to burn those extra calories. Now coffee, I don't know about you guys, but I do love coffee. And 20 years ago, and I still actually sit and I drink it out of a mug, but you can see here they have, it's 8 ounces with a plate and, a cup and saucer, and it was 45 calories. How many calories do you think are in today's mocha coffee? And I believe it's 16 ounces. Is it 100, 350, or 450?
350. Hopefully.
I'm gonna go with the 400 and some.
Okay, it was 350, so it is 16 ounces. It's an extra 305 calories, and that doesn't include a snack. I know if I'm going to have my coffee, I often like to nibble something with it. So you can see how easy it is to kind of be intaking extra calories. We would have to walk 1 hour and 20 minutes to burn those extra 305 calories. All right, that was it as far as my presentation. If you want more information about nutrition links, the website and the number is on here. And again, my contact information, my email is here if you guys have questions. If you're interested in having classes, the Nutrition Links series, I'm happy to talk with you guys.
This was wonderful. Thank you so much. I feel like I've increased my knowledge already so much, and it was just like a little teaser to your lessons. If someone was interested in doing the full course, should they go to the website to sign up, or what would be the best way to try to do that?
If they're in Center County, they can email me and I will contact them. Yeah. We do have, like, if you have other people in other counties, we do have a nutrition education advisor in almost every county. And in that case, they can look on the website and find that person. But that's my email, and they can contact me and I can schedule something.
Okay, awesome. And then if you do have a large amount of people in Penns Valley who are interested, please let Dara and I know, and we can try to organize a space for you guys to do that, or help with facilitation if that would be helpful. But thank you so much, Dara. Do you have any last minute questions or comments?
Appreciate you sharing all of this information. I think it's a great resource for all of our families in the area.
Okay, well, great. Well, I hope that, to hear back from you guys and to hear from parents, and maybe we can have classes for them.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Wonderful.